Hello viewers, it is your favorite spoiler from the recap room. For more updates, stay tuned and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you. Dan Fogler wakes up in the middle of the night to find his house on fire in the opening scene of Friday's premiere. He calls out for his mother, but he is unable to get to her bedroom, so he flees the house panting and coughing as the entire house catches fire. Then we meet Rudy Baylor and his girlfriend, Sarah, who recently graduated from law school and have secured positions at a prominent company. At an event where free legal advice is being given out, a woman reports that her son Donny Ray passed away after being admitted to the hospital with the flu. According to the authorities, Donny's death was caused by an opioid addiction. However, his mother maintains that he was clean and believes the hospital killed him. However, the firm Rudy and Sarah will be working for represents the hospital. Before leaving, the mother sniffs and says, "Good luck working for Satan." Rudy wakes up for his first day at the firm after wrapping up his final night as a barman. In his late brother John's room, he discovers his mother dusting. His mother left the room exactly as he had left it after John passed away, but her lover, Hank, feels it's time to move on. Hank arrives at work late, just in time to be grilled by his new boss Leo Drummond, after Rudy angrily confronts him and engages him in a fistfight, leaving his suit covered in blood. When the dust settles, Rudy and Leo argue about who isn't handled fairly by the law. Rudy suggests victims of domestic abuse, but Leo refutes that. Rudy is fired. Rudy is cautioned by Sarah that his insistence on winning every battle could be his downfall. Rudy searches desperately for a new work, but no one is recruiting, while she remains at Leo's company. However, he is informed by his bar manager about Bruiser, a not-so-reputable lawyer who works out of an old taco restaurant, and her para-lawyer, Deck, who has failed the bar test 7 times. Bruiser senses that Rudy has been dismissed and has nowhere else to go when they first meet. She pushes him to use his anger, which she can sense. She informs him, "We represent people on the worst day of their lives, and they are also upset." She employs him, but at a far lower salary than he would receive at Leo's company. Hospital CEO Wilfred Keeley notices Sarah at a client mixer for Leo's company and is impressed by her ability to recall the opening line of every book she has ever read. Leo is pleased to comply with his request to have Sarah on his account. Rudy refuses to budge when she attempts to persuade Leo to hire him again. He also plays a weird power move on her by deciding to drop a bunch of French fries on the floor and expecting her to pick them up. When Rudy moves into a cheap, unfurnished loft, he has a great view of his next-door neighbors. In order to generate some new business, Bruiser sends him and Deck to the nearby hospital because he could use some additional money. Deck gives a victim the hard sell by obtrusively entering his hospital room and offering to represent him in any ongoing legal proceedings. Rudy persuades the victim to sign despite his reluctance, even though he is completely covered in a cast. Deck runs over to volunteer his services after spotting Melvin Pritchard chained to a wheelchair in the hospital hallway, but he is beaten to it by another attorney. Rudy recalls Donny Ray's mother and believes he needs a real case to focus on. Even though she perceives him as a wealthy white lad with affluent parents, he responds politely, saying, respectfully, "You don't know a thing about me." When Rudy looks over Donny Ray's medical records, he discovers that Melvin Pritchard was one of the nurses who cared for him. We observe a mysterious woman smoking and spying on Rudy and Deck as they confront Melvin about his involvement with Donny Ray, but Melvin's lawyer prevents them from speaking. Donny Ray's mother hears her dog barking in the middle of the night and later discovers a vape cartridge. Since the hospital CEO is now Sarah's client, she is shocked to hear that Rudy took the Donny Ray case, which will put them squarely against one another. As a result, Sarah storms out of his apartment. Rudy reminds him that Leo's firm has already offered a $50,000 settlement, and he believes he can obtain more, but Bruiser is hesitant to take on the Donny Ray case. Bruiser cautions him that they might be responsible for the opposing side's legal bills if the lawsuit is dismissed. "What are you willing to do, really willing to do, to be a rainmaker?" she asks, cautioning him that once they take on this job, there is no turning back. Additionally, we witness Melvin knocking on a house's rear door late at night. When an elderly woman responds, she inserts a syringe into her neck and assures her that everything is fine. "I work as a nurse. Thanks for watching, stay tuned for more updates.